It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Vera and Heather back again with another episode of I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hi, Vera.
Hey, Heather. How's it going?
I feel like I'm in the 20th century, not 20, whatever century, plagues were in, plague. 19th, 14th, I don't know. One of the not this century, although we do have a plague, but yeah, but it just feels like I'm getting hit after hit after hit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you had mentioned to me that Baker is sick again. With what?
We don't know. Just a virus. Just
another one of them. They have viruses.
Yeah. Just, you're running the mill virus. Yeah. Let's catch up first, and then we'll get into all the topic today, which is because we had to bring him to the emergency room. We didn't have to, but that's what the choice we made because of his symptoms and the position we were in. So
yeah.
A lot of contributing factors. So how are you though?
Yeah. Well, I'm just, I'm actually taking Luke to the doctor today because he's just, struggling with these anxiety attacks and outbursts. And they're just, we're going to go because we'd already gone to his neurologist to say, do you think this is a side effect of his medicine for his epilepsy? Because, really, it's because we've gone to the psychiatrist to check on, is he bipolar? Is he, so he's been checked out for all that. He definitely has anxiety, which is not unusual when you have something like epilepsy. So he's on some anxiety meds, but not a whole lot because he doesn't like being on a lot of them because he says it makes him weird. So, but there's a marked difference between when he eats and when he doesn't eat. And so, so his mood swings literally go from within hours or even minutes, so he'll have these terrible outbursts and I'll say, have you eaten anything? But of course, by then he's so upset. He's like,
that triggers him. That's like saying, calm down.
Exactly. But what else can I do? I'm just like, okay, well, can you just do me a favor? Have a glass of milk.
Why don't you, could you say, let's go have a snack and talk about it instead of positioning it. Let's,
have you eaten yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's I kind of do that. Why don't you have a glass of milk and, we'll talk. It's just, he just spirals, but by the time he gets there, he's spiraled into, and then something will trigger him, that he's anxious about. And it's just, it's awful. And it's extremely draining. I'm emotionally and physically, I feel like someone's just slowly sucking the life out of me dealing with this for now, honestly, years. And it just, it's gotten worse. The more I'm trying to push him out into the real world and be responsible for stuff, he'll be okay. Be okay. And then just blah, how am I going to pay my rent? Why hasn't anybody ever taught me how to do this? I'm like, are you kidding me? So it's just awful. It's just, I can't even I have him in counseling. I'm doing fucking everything. So anyway, I'm taking him to his primary today to get his blood sugar tested and see if, and I did some research and his medicine, there is a hypothesis out there. I found several studies that they think that hypoglycemia can be, taking the medicine he's on can cause hypoglycemia.
Which is low blood sugar, right?
Right. And extreme, this is hangry times 100. This isn't just hangry. If anybody's ever there wants to experience it, might be my guest. It's screaming and crying and punching walls and saying awful, hurtful things, awful things. And then he'll finally calm down. You get him to eat something. A couple hours later, I'm the best mom ever. I'm so sorry I yelled at you. It's abusive. I feel like the victim of abuse, honestly.
It sounds like a toddler
emotional.
Well.
It's emotional abuse, honestly. But I know he's not meaning to.
Yeah.
I think there's a physiological thing going on. So anyway, wish me luck with that because we're going to the doctor and hopefully, because it's to the point where I don't like it when he calls me. I don't know what to do, So anyway, so that's my fun health situation. Although I will say I have talked to other parents who say that they have gone through maybe not exactly the same thing, but especially with kids around his age. And again, who knows if it has something to do with being locked down during the pandemic and all the anxiety in the world right now, which kind of exacerbates your typical teenager issues. So it's been nice. I've had some people who've been really supportive, which has been great, and I'm like, dude, I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but it's nice to know I'm not alone. So anyway, so if I can find a physiological, because I know it's physiological, I just, you can just tell, like I said, he finally eats, and then, and usually bipolar people, from what I understand, they don't switch that quickly. It's usually, like a day or two where it's like, yay, let's go spend a bunch at the store, and then blah, I don't even want to get up, but it's not, like I said, we've talked to a psychiatrist. It's not bipolar. It's too up and down. I mean, lift up, down, up, down, up, down. So, but meanwhile, I've been trying to do the mom thing, trying to take care of myself. So trying to go to the gym, but of course, literally I'm at my gym class at the gym yesterday, come get out of the class. And of course he's texting me, call me ASAP, and then blows up on me. I call it vomiting. He vomited all over me right after I got in my nice aerobics class, taking care of myself, being good, due diligence, then it's like all the positive endorphins that I got from that class gone. So wish me luck, and I'll let everybody know what happens. I mean, it just seems to me that would make sense. But I can at least get some blood work done, because the other thing he says too is, he says even after he eats, even though he does feel better, he still feels hungry. So it's almost like his body's not absorbing everything correctly, maybe too.
Interesting. Maybe there's like a gut thing going on.
Yeah, that's possible. And, he's super skinny too. So, and he eats like 2 fast food meals a day, which again, he's a 19-year-old boy, but he has 0 body fat. So, that makes you wonder too. So I feel like metabolically, is that the right word? Metabolism wise, there's something going on, and it could be because of the medication. But then the problem is, if we change the medication, then he can't drive for 6 months, because we don't know if the new medication will be as effective in warding off seizures.
Man.
So that's why I'd rather go ahead to the primary and say, okay, even if the primary just says, okay, well, he's got some hypoglycemic things going on, but we can take him to a nutritionist. The nutritionist can say, hey, you need to eat this, 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 and this, because I can tell him all day long what to eat and he won't listen, but he'll listen to a professional. It's just another trip to the doctor. Yay.
Listen.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Which brings us to you.
Yeah.
Because you just got over COVID, right? Not too long ago.
Yeah. And I'm still have some lingering, coughing here or there, as I keep putting myself on mute because I keep coughing. So, yeah.
There she goes. She's muted.
Yep, I did.
She's back. Okay.
And so we were this weekend, we were going to my friend's cabin that I'd never been to. And she's been inviting me. And I was like, okay, well, we can do this day, just overnight. And so that was the plan, right? So Friday night we went to bed, and it was chilly in our house. And Brad's not chilly. So Baker and I get chilly. Yep. So we use a heating blanket when that happens. And it's not like I don't put it on high or anything, put it on low, just enough to warm us up.
Yeah.
And I woke up at like 4:00 in the morning, and he is all wrapped up in the heating blanket, burning up. I was like, oh my God, I fried my child. Like legitimately. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing?
I know. That's what I would think too.
Yeah.
Get up too high.
And so we took the heating blanket away and just had him in a blanket, and his temperature went down to normal. And so I was like, okay, he's just overheated a little bit with that. And so I'm watching him throughout the day. He's kind of lethargic. I'm just attributing it to that heating blanket incident, right? Because I'm like, okay, I must have overheated him to keep drinking water, blah, 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 blah. Uh-huh. And then we're driving up to the mountain. He's just kind of, Baker, he's 100 miles per hour, and he's at like 30.
Not like anybody that I know.
Yeah. So he's already a little off. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just feeling nervous the whole time. Like, what did I do? Like, did I fry his inside? Like, what? Like, I'm just freaking out about like this child that is normally very like,
yeah.
And so we get up to the mountains, which is about 2 hours from our house and no cell service. And so we're up there and he's having a good time, like four-wheeled and played cornhole and just, hung out and played Simon Says, and he was having a good time. He was still like lower energy than normal, but not like he was in the car. I mean, he definitely perked up, but he was like cold and hot and cold and hot. And we were attributing that to the sun because we were out in the sun, and then he got in cold water. And like he, of course he doesn't just splash around into cold water. He just completely clothes, shoes and everything on just in cold water. And so we're like, okay, we're just trying to not looking at, not thinking that anything's going on. So we put him to bed and we go outside, we're hanging out outside playing cards. And then when we go to bed, he is burning up. Like I'm sunburned and he's hotter than me. He's hotter than my skin. And so I'm up, putting wet washcloths on his head, and why we didn't think to bring a thermometer, I don't know, or Tylenol. And so we have no idea what his temperature is. We just know he's burning up. So I have a fan pointed on him. I'm putting wet towels on his head. I have an ice pack on it. It wasn't a very cold ice pack because it wasn't in the freezer. So it came up in the cooler with us. But it was just like one of those little tiny jelly ones. And I, put a shirt around it, put it on his back, and he seemed to be cooling down. And I was like, okay, it's hot here. It's just where there's no AC in the cabin. He's just hot. That's fine. And so he just isn't getting cooler. He's burning up. And I'm just like, ugh. So I bring him downstairs at like 2 a.m. or like 1 a.m. because it's cooler downstairs and it was upstairs. I was like, maybe this will help. Maybe he can just snuggle on the couch. And he's like, my tummy hurts. I was like, okay, well, lay down and just push on his tummy a little, just barely. And he's like, that really hurts when you do that. I was like, oh, Jesus. So immediately thinking appendicitis.
Yeah.
It's not on the side, but evidently that's where it starts. It's in the navel area, and then it moves to the side. So good to know.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dude, I'm like, bro, we got to go. I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable being here. There's no cell service, like for miles, for like an hour of your drive, there's no cell service. And so I'm like, which is fine on a normal day.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was like, we got to go. I don't feel comfortable being here. If something happens, if he and it's windy roads, slow, deer, wildlife,
bears.
Yeah. So I'm like, ugh. So we pack up our stuff and try to leave as quietly as possible without alerting, waking anybody up. And we get out there at 2 and we're driving. I'm driving super slow because I don't want to hit a deer in the middle of nowhere, 2 a.m., no cell service. And so I'm driving really slow and cautious. And we're about 20 miles away from the cabin. Bing! Gas light comes on.
Oh, no.
It says, I was like, what the heck? I'm like, it says we have 77 miles. It usually doesn't come on until like 39. So like, I don't understand. And then we drive like maybe another minute and it goes down to 27. I'm like, what?
What?
I have no idea why it did that. I have no idea. It didn't have his coffee, evidently. And it says we have 27 miles and we're 26 miles from.
Oh my God.
Yeah. From the closest gas station, which was closed, by the way.
Oh,
and so I'm like, all right, we're turning off the AC. We're rolling the window. We're cracking the window because it's cool at night. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was like 65. Luckily we coasted down the hill. I was able to make up 10 more miles. And we had to go another 4 miles from that to get to the gas station. And we had 11 miles left in our car. Like I had 0.45 gallons in my car.
Oh my gosh.
So, but so we got into cell service like 3 miles before the closed gas station. So I was like, at least we have cell service. Okay, check
Yes.
1. Okay, then we got gas. At least we have gas. Check 2. And then we got to the hospital. We're calling TRICARE because we have to call them and get a nurse. It's a process. And we're like, well, we're bringing him to the hospital. So, I mean, just FYI.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, the biggest thing was his stomach. Like because he kept complaining about his stomach and going to the right. And then and typically like when he has a fever, it's in his head. It's just all, he feels it.
Yeah.
His skin isn't hot. His whole entire body was hot.
Yeah, that's scary.
Like entire body. And so they're like, no, it's not appendicitis. Because usually that like your appendix is large. So it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. So it's just going to, the feeling. So we're like, whew, okay, well, it wasn't appendicitis. They checked for strep, COVID, flu, negative. And they're just like, it's just a virus. But so in the hospital that they're like, okay, we're going to do this. And he's like, okay, I'll give me medicine. And so, whatever, he always does that shit. And we get home and I'm like, dude, you got to get your medicine. Like the next day I was like, you've got to get your medicine in. He's like, I don't want it. Like screaming. And I was like, we this kid doesn't trust us anymore to give him food that doesn't have medicine. Because we tried like applesauce and everything, putting it in there. And he's like, And then we're not giving him the full amount because we're like, we don't know how much you got. So we just have to assume you got it all because we can't tell because we put it in food. Yeah. And so then we started doing the 3-3 because we're like, at least we get something. And I'm like, the Motrin, then Tylenol. We're trying to do that because I was like, well, at least you're getting a little bit of something. Yeah. And we're like, why? We don't understand why you do it in the hospital, but you don't do it here. And he's like, I just did it for the popsicles. And I was like, well, you're getting popsicles at home, so I don't understand why you're still not doing it. He's just, so it's been quite he's just miserable. He's just a jerk right now. And again, like Luke, it's not because he's meaning to be. And he just is feeling terrible. And so, I feel like we jumped the gun on the ER too quickly, but also I was in the circumstance we were in the mountains, like nothing was open. So it's not like we could go get a thermometer, and we were trying everywhere, like gas stations, everything for a thermometer to see what his temperature was. Yeah. But I mean, when it all boils down, like the stomach was really, and he still complains of his stomach aching. So I don't know.
Well, it could be too partly. Well, first of all, we'll go back to that. Could be too partly his stomach. A lot of times, at least when I'm sick, even if it's like in my head and it's not really stomach sick, my stomach, I think, like they say, your immune system is in your stomach. And we've learned a little bit about that in previous episodes with some experts. That it's still, it's just kind of, like the bacteria in your gut is kind of screwy because you're sick. So you might be kind of gassy and, like everything's kind of off kilter. Yeah. Maybe want to try and see if you haven't already, or if he might not even like it though, like something like yogurt or something, some probiotics.
Well, we give him a Yakult every morning. And so he has that. And here's another thing that's weird is he's like, I don't like that. Things that he likes to eat. Like he wouldn't even eat a donut yesterday. Whoa. He's like, no, I don't want to. I don't want it.
He is sick.
I know. And then and then there's something else that his vitamins, his gummy vitamins. He's always never had a problem with it. And then yesterday he's like, I don't like those. And so I'm like, I'm wondering if like this is similar to COVID in the fact that, how some people said that when they had COVID, they just
lost their taste and smell.
Tastes like trash, like legitimate trash. So I wonder if this is like, part of a straight, not COVID, but the flu is part of corona.
Yeah, they're all like coronaviruses.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if this is just a different thing.
Is he congested at all?
No, not at all. It's just the fever. I mean, he's coughed or sneezed here or there, but it's nothing like it's nothing that you would be like, oh, maybe you need some Vicks or whatever. Yeah, it's not. Yeah. We don't use Vicks. Calm down. I know you're not supposed to use until they're like 50. We use eucalyptus stuff.
All natural eucalyptus.
Well, you're not. Yeah, there's something that like I think 12 is the like time you're allowed to give them, and it's fine. I'm fine with that. Totally fine. But it's just nothing worrisome. That's not the worrisome. It's the fever. And yesterday we went through the whole day. It was like 98. And we're like, yes, he gets to go back to school tomorrow. Yeah. And then last night 101. I was like, mother.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't think that you jumped the gun going to the ER. Just because, well, I know that you're not typically the type of person to do that anyway on the regular, but I think, like you said, being in the circumstances you're in, you're out of town, you don't have all the supplies that you would normally have, all the tools that you would normally have to take care of him. So I think I would have done the same thing just for peace of mind, like in hindsight, you can say, yeah, oh, maybe we jumped the gun because it's just quote unquote a virus. But, sometimes there's something to be said for peace of mind.
Yeah. And also he is much like a car. When you bring him into the mechanic, they can't duplicate what's going on. So, when he gets to the hospital, he's like, yeah, I'm fine. What's going on?
Right. Exactly. Sure. I'll take that medicine. Oh, you got a popsicle, rock on. Looking good, babe. Yeah.
No, it doesn't really hurt that much. You're like, what? You were telling me it hurts so bad.
I know. I'm sure. I don't think he's the first little kid to be like that.
Yeah. But I'm just like, come on.
I know.
Car duplicate.
Right. Exactly.
To be fair, he did have like 100, like when we got home, or he had 101 at that point, but later on the next day he had like 102. And so, he's pretty good fever.
Yeah. Yeah. When you start getting up into the 101s, 2s, 3s, that gets scary.
Yeah.
Because what is it, 4? Where they say
he
it's
had
really
105.
Dangerous? Oh, wow.
105 one time, and he was delirious.
I'll bet.
He was just like, the purple unicorn sat on the trough. It's just, I was like, what are you talking about? And so that time we like rushed him, I'm like, he's nuts.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, that's what they say. Your brain literally starts to fry.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're like, did you give him anything? We're like, no, we're not supposed to, right? That's a new thing. You're not supposed to give him medicine. Just let him work through it.
Oh, I know. Yeah. You never know. The things change so much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So the doctor said, you know what? She's like, I don't pay attention to the number so much. She's like, just if he is in so much pain, give him medicine. Like even if it's you can be 99 and be in so much pain, but people react to it differently and depending on the virus. So that all to be said, he won't take Tylenol. So how do we do that?
Yeah. Good luck with all that.
Or Motrin, or he won't take anything. He won't take anything.
You haven't tried just like, the droplet stuff and just like, hold, one of you hold him down and squirt it in his mouth.
He spits it out. Legitimately. Not kidding you. I've had my sheets covered in Tylenol or Motrin.
Oh man.
Pain reliever. Yeah. He spits it out.
He's a stubborn little booger.
Oh my gosh. I like, we had to hide it in Gatorade finally.
Ooh. Well,
and then it took me an hour to get him to get like 6 ounces, not even 6 ounces of Gatorade down.
Oh my God.
So I had to keep pausing TV. I was like, for every minute you watch TV, you have to take a sip.
Yeah.
I kept having to pause. And I was like, you could just get it over with. Just drink it all and you won't have to pause your show.
Put it in a popsicle?
He's that. Put it in a popsicle.
Like maybe, you get the ones that are in the plastic, the popsicles that are in the plastic. Yeah. And you like open it and then dribble the Tylenol in there.
I don't know. He's so stubborn.
Yeah.
Like we tried.
But by then he'll decide he doesn't like popsicles. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Applesauce. And like in like anything. I was like, I will get this in you somehow.
Right.
So we were able to get one solid dose with the Gatorade, nothing else. Like he wouldn't apple juice. He loves apple juice. He's like, I don't like apple juice anymore. He would try grape juice, everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you don't know yet what his temperature is. He's still asleep right now?
No, he's watching TV. We just haven't taken it yet this morning. But
okay.
He feels cooler.
Yeah.
So I'll just assume that he's not. Obviously we're going to take his temperature at some point today, but right now, we haven't given him any medicine because yesterday his temperature was fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, until right before I went to bed, I was one-on-one. I was like,
yeah. So well, that's common, isn't it? Like oftentimes fevers tend to be higher later in the day.
I don't know. I feel like I've heard that as well, but
yeah,
I'm no doctor.
Yeah. Me neither.
Sometimes. I Google things and that means I know it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're all experts.
Yep. So if you have any, I don't know, I guess basically my suggestion is just listen to your gut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just,
definitely
better be safe than sorry, honestly.
you know your kid, and yes, listen to your instincts, because you know your kid. It's just like even for yourself, you know, like when just, you know, even though it's a very different issue what I'm going through with Luke and what you're going through with Baker, it's still like I know that there's something physiological going on. You know, I can just tell. We've just got to figure out what in the hell it is, you know. And unfortunately, you know, it's only practicing medicine to they practice because they don't really know either.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of running a bunch of tests and just kind of try this and seeing what sticks, which is really frustrating. But it's, you know, like you said, even the doctor said at the hospital, like, if you think you need some medicine, give him some medicine.
Yeah.
Which can put some pressure on you as a mom, but at the same time, it is good to know that you can trust your gut.
Yeah, exactly. You know? And, you know, and there's gonna be irrational fears, like you cooked your kid from the inside.
Like you cooked your kid with a heating blanket.
So just be safe. Just use extra blankets and non-heating blankets. Save the heating blanket for yourself. Well, I even told the doctor in the ER just in case, because I was like, yeah.
Did I bake Baker in a heating blanket?
Well, I was like, you know, and I told her my rationale and like what I was thinking and why we didn't, because I was also like, maybe is she gonna think I'm a terrible mom? Because like my kid has sunburn on his legs, he has this giant gash and with bruises because he fell when he jumped in the water, and like he has a temperature. Like she's gonna be like, they give people they give you people to kids.
Yeah, exactly. You give kids to you people.
They were so nice. They were so nice. Children's Hospital is just, I've never met anyone in there that has ever judged me in any way.
That's good.
Knowingly, they may have gone back to their spouse or whatever and be like, you should have seen this crazy mom.
Yeah, well, that's okay. What you don't know,
but yeah, I genuinely think they just have the best hearts. They're in there for a reason, and it's for the kids. And
that's good. Well, my son's pediatrician used to say, he's like, you know, if you brought your kid, you know, when he'd examine him every year, he'd say, you know, okay, he's got a few scratches and bruises, blah, blah. He'd say, I would be worried if he didn't have any, because that means he's not getting playtime. He's not running around and being a kid. So I'm totally fine with scratches and bruises as long as it's not extreme. You know, it's just regular little kid stuff.
Yeah. He ran into this puddle and just immediately fell. I guess there's just a bunch of rocks down there, just like sliced up his knee and like bruised it. I was like, he's like, ah!
Of course.
Like, please. And then he's like, I've got to pee. I'm like, oh, Lord, there's so much stuff going on in your body right now. Oh, yeah, it was interesting. So if you have a system that you use on how you decide, you know, whether to pull the trigger on going to the hospital or ride out, or if you have a way to get my kid to take his medicine.
Yes, a suggestion on how to get a kid to take medicine. Yeah, that would.
And why haven't they made a gummy? Why haven't you made a gummy? Yeah, for Tylenol, Motrin, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Why haven't you made a freaking gummy?
Powers that be.
I wonder if it's that they can't regulate the amount. And I don't know. In any event, look into it, please.
Yeah.
Please.
A pain reliever, fever reducer.
I'll give you my money to try
it. But yes, and don't forget to rate the podcast. Get some I Can't Mom Today merch. In fact, I need to order some for some people that I know.
Yes, and don't forget this month we are donating all of our proceeds from that to help women in other states that cannot get the medical need, you know, medical attention that they need in the time of if they need to get an abortion, whether it's wanted or needed. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. And don't email us, ican'tmomtodaypodcast@gmail.com. And of course, on all the Instagram and Facebook places, I Can't Mom Today Podcast.
If you have any suggestions for us for future ones, or you know somebody that would sound really good on our podcast and give you valuable information, we are up for that too.
Yay. Till next time.
Bye.